An object was speeding toward Earth, one that possessed less than 1% of the mass it should have. To most, it seemed like an anomaly, a curiosity of physics, but to the scientific community, it was beginning to look like something far more extraordinary. Perhaps even the first encounter with an alien intelligence, one that had been dead for 1,000,000 years. Among those observing the phenomenon was a theoretical physicist who had spent decades walking the fine line between the possible and the fantastical. Yet even he could not have anticipated what was unfolding. The object, known as 3I Atlas, was defying every natural law and expectation. According to his analysis, it hadn't just blurred the boundary between science and fiction, it had erased it entirely. On October 21st, the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, conducted a detailed spectroscopic analysis of 3I Atlas as it accelerated toward its closest approach to the Sun. The results that returned were not simply strange, they were paradigm-shattering. The data was so fundamentally unsettling that it forced scientists to question everything they thought they understood about artificiality and intelligence. The question was no longer if the object was artificial, but what happens when an artificial intelligence operates on a timescale so vast that all of human history becomes a blink in comparison. The internal structure detected within 3I Atlas was not alarming because it might be alien, but because its design hinted at something far more profound and profoundly lonely. The data showed evidence of autonomous systems that had traveled through the interstellar void for perhaps millions of years, executing ancient pre-programmed directives without a pilot, without a living mind to guide them. Humanity, it seemed, might be witnessing the arrival of what could be called ghost ships of the cosmos. When the JWST began its near-infrared spectrograph scans, the mission's objective had been simple: to map the object's surface and identify common elements such as silicates and organic molecules. Instead, the spectral data revealed something impossible, a composition that matched no known natural substance in any catalogue. It was Dr. Sarah Chen of the Space Telescope Science Institute who first noticed the pattern. Infrared absorption bands arranged with breathtaking precision, spaced exactly 127 meters apart, repeating throughout the object's core. This was no approximation. The intervals were mathematically exact, layered with the precision of a blueprint. Nothing in nature exhibited that kind of regularity at such a scale. Crystalline patterns occurred at the atomic level, never in vast architectural structures. The discovery placed 3I Atlas squarely in the realm of engineering, not geology. But the purpose of such engineering remained a mystery. The 127-meter spacing was too large for living quarters and too small for massive habitat rings. It seemed to imply an intricate internal framework, perhaps a power grid, a data lattice, or the scaffolding of some great machine. Then came the most disturbing discovery. The structures were not static. Over a 12-hour period between October 21st and 22nd, the infrared signatures began to shift. Some absorption bands strengthened, while others weakened, as if vast systems within the object were being rerouted or reactivated. The modulation was unmistakable evidence of artificial design. Natural bodies did not change their internal makeup deliberately. This was no fracture caused by heat. It was an internal process, controlled and deliberate. Deep within, 3I Atlas was moving, reorganizing and preparing. From a physics standpoint, the implications were staggering. Whatever 3I Atlas was, it had survived millennia of travel through interstellar space. It had endured cosmic radiation that would destroy any human-made electronics, and extreme temperature shifts from the frozen dark to the heat of a star. Its resilience implied a technology far beyond human comprehension, perhaps a self-repairing biomechanical hybrid or machinery shielded by exotic materials. Against all odds, its systems still functioned. It was responding to its environment. It was waking up. Theoretical models of von Neumann probes, first proposed by mathematician John von Neumann in the 1940s, suddenly felt eerily relevant. These were self-replicating machines capable of exploring the galaxy autonomously. A single probe, equipped with the means to build copies of itself using raw materials from asteroids and moons, could fill the galaxy with its descendants in a few million years. For decades, such ideas had been considered speculative. But now the data suggested 3I Atlas might be one such machine, a real von Neumann probe. The evidence was mounting. First came the mass discrepancy. Based on its size and brightness, 3I Atlas should have weighed roughly 33 billion tons. Yet its gravitational pull during its Mars flyby on October 3rd was nearly negligible, less than 1% of what was expected. The object appeared hollow, engineered for maximum volume and minimal mass, the perfect configuration for interstellar travel. Second was its rotation. 3I Atlas spun with an 8.7-hour period and remarkable gyroscopic stability. Natural bodies wobbled and tumbled due to uneven mass distribution, but this object maintained perfect balance, implying either perfect symmetry or an active stabilization system, possibly using internal thrusters or gyroscopes. Third, the object had decelerated, something no comet or asteroid could do on its own. Between September 23rd and 26th, its velocity slowed by 0.3 km/s, suggesting deliberate braking maneuvers. The conclusion was unavoidable. It was controlling its path, and finally the timing. Its arrival was almost perfectly aligned with the solar system's ecliptic plane. As it neared the Sun, its systems began activating in precise coordination. This was not random behavior. It was a program being executed, triggered perhaps by proximity to a star, a source of energy it could use to awaken. There was another possibility as well, the detection of electromagnetic signals. Humanity's century-long leakage of radio and television, waves into space, might have acted as a beacon. If 3I Atlas was equipped to detect such signals, it may have known about Earth long before humans detected it. Its reactivation could therefore represent not communication, but the beginning of its primary mission, to observe and analyze a technological civilization. If 3I Atlas was indeed a von Neumann probe, then logic dictated it was not alone. Mathematical models suggested that if such self-replicating machines existed anywhere, the galaxy should already be full of them. The physicist Enrico Fermi once asked, "Where is everybody?" Perhaps the answer was simple. The galaxy was not filled with living beings, but with their autonomous legacies, machines carrying out missions long after their creators had perished. This idea, the ghost ship hypothesis, was as haunting as it was profound. It implied that advanced civilizations were fleeting, but their creations endured. The machines would outlive their makers, continuing their duties for ages, unaware that their home worlds had fallen silent. Perhaps 3I Atlas was one such orphaned emissary, following instructions it no longer understood. The European Space Agency eventually issued a cautious statement acknowledging structural anomalies, but framed them as possibly consistent with natural fracturing. Scientists who had seen the data knew that phrase was a veil, a bureaucratic attempt to contain panic. Denial then forced reinterpretation and finally acceptance. It was the familiar pattern of scientific upheaval, and humanity was only at the second stage. As the object approached perihelion, its reconfiguration intensified. Observers speculated that it might be preparing to deploy smaller subprobes. If released while hidden behind the Sun, they could scatter unnoticed throughout the solar system. The timing would be ideal, using the Sun's glare as cover while harvesting its energy. By the time 3I Atlas re-emerged in December, its seeds could already be orbiting nearby planets, silently studying humanity. And yet, the most chilling question remained. What was its true purpose? Was it programmed for exploration, observation, or something darker? The dark forest hypothesis, proposed by the author Cixin Liu, imagined the universe as a silent battlefield where civilizations stayed hidden, lest they be destroyed. A probe built on that logic might not seek contact at all. It might observe, evaluate, and if it deemed a new species dangerous, act. No one could yet say whether 3I Atlas was a friend, a foe, or an indifferent machine following ancient directives. But it carried an undeniable message. The cosmos was not empty. It was haunted. Humanity, for the first time, might be standing face to face with one of its ghosts. 6 days remained until the object reached perihelion. 6 days to collect every photon of data before it disappeared behind the Sun. Scientists around the world scrambled to decode its reconfiguration signals. Were they binary patterns? A mathematical greeting? A warning? Or something far less benign? an automated weapon charging for activation? No one knew. What was certain, however, was that 3i Atlas had already changed humanity's understanding of the universe forever. It had forced a reckoning, not only with the possibility of alien life, but with the haunting reflection of humanity's own fate among the stars.